what happened to that. And secondly, there was a discussion in the last GST Council meeting that there will be a reconsideration on the rates for MUVs, whether it should be at par with SUVs or not. Was that taken up? Was that discussed? Where are we? And thirdly, you recently promised industry to consider rates again through Fitment Committee on cement. What is the idea there? Where are we? Is it still to be discussed with the Fitment Committee? Where are we? Please.
Yes, cement has not come to the Fitment Committee yet. Then on the millet related, it was discussed to an extent, but it wasn't, nothing was arrived at because the percentage of millet in the mixed food, ready food that is being discussed about, whether it should be 70%, whether it should be 50% of millet and other things are rest of it. There was some discussion, but nothing was arrived at. We agreed to look at it again. So nothing was discussed on it. On the SUVs, I don't think much progress.
Again, on SUV and MUV, the officers committee, which we have the fitment committee, was not able to actually, because time was short. So they have not been able to arrive at any decision. And so there was no recommendation of the fitment committee also for this particular GST council. It will be relooked, it will be looked, and then, it will be presented in the next council meeting.
Next, Shashir.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Ma'am, since the GUM appellate tribunal, with slight modification in the language that has been accepted, so what are those changes in terms of what the GUM recommended and what are the changes which the states have suggested? Can you share some, and what is the timeline for setting up this appellate tribunal?
In specific, I'll have Sanjay go into the details. The timeline is because now that this GST Council has agreed, and only those some paragraph language lines will have to be circulated with the states, which we'll do. I expect for the first version of the draft 3 or 4 paragraphs in which the language change is being made, we will send it by tomorrow and give the states 1 week within which they can come back for the draft first version. Post that, again within a matter of 2 days, we want to send it to the states to finalize the draft, which means before the 1st of March, it should be all done and over. And since the council has authorized the chairperson to conclude based on the inputs which are coming, it should be over and done with by at least the 3rd of March, so that we will be comfortably placed to take it through the finance bill this time. And the details. Let the bill get passed now.
Insofar as the tribunals are concerned, the tribunal is concerned, there was the GUM report had recommended, the GUM had recommended that there should be one tribunal with a principal bench and as many other benches to be located in the states. So that has been agreed. So there will be one tribunal with a principal bench. Small change was suggested regarding the naming of the benches to be renamed as state benches. So this was the major recommendation. The other thing is related to the constitution. The GUM had recommended one technical member, 50-50 basis, one from 50% from the state and 50% from the center, plus one judicial member. So there was a discussion, and the modification suggested is that we can have 2+2. However, the decision making will be only with at most 1+1 or less than 1. So all the 4 will not sit. So this will allow both center and state to have a representative on the technical side, and the equal representation for the judicial member. So these were the primary main recommendations, both of which with small modifications as mentioned, which have been accepted. Yeah, so it's only with regard to the selection and search regarding the state technical member. How we do that drafting will have to be done. As of now, there is some as recommended by the GUM, some representation was given in the form of the Chief Secretary of the state concerned, where the bench is to be constituted. It was agreed that there should be more representation, and all the members of the search selection committee should be from the state, including the judiciary from the state. So that's another modification.
Answer from Indian Express. Follow-up question to that, only on the tribunal. So there were concerns by some states about having tribunal per state, per region, and now that one bench has been announced with state representation. But what were the discussions and concerns regarding states when they mentioned that there should be a bench in every region and tribunal in every region? So why is that not possible? Why could not that be finalized?
Actually, the chair of the GUM, the Deputy Chief Minister of Haryana, had explained what is the advantage of having one tribunal with a primary bench being in Delhi and the states having the benches of this tribunal, and also making sure, after discussion we did come to the point of the states having their member, the technical member, also come in. States representation through the Chief Secretary, who will be in the selection committee, will be adequately taken care of. Not only the Chief Secretary, but also one other, either additional secretary or a secretary from the state, would also be part of the selection committee of appointing in the state benches. The state benches selection, of course, will be with the Chief Justice of the High Court there, with the Chief Secretary and also the additional secretary who will be present, additional secretary or a secretary as the state would want. That is one thing. And second, the state will also be given the choice to set up benches in different parts of the state, depending on the population or depending on the total business which is being done, or in states like Northeast, where one bench would be sufficient for 2 or 3 states, or sometimes one bench is sufficient, but one bench further additionally to be for the sake of very far-flung areas. That decision will be left to the states and the group of states for the Northeast. And for states which want to have in some regions which are heavily business or industries activities are more, they can have also additional bench. So the decision of the number of state level benches of the tribunal will be left to the states. And of course, finally the council will have to approve it. They may recommend, saying we want these, and this is the total number we need because of either density of the business or because of the far-flung area or any justification. The council will approve it, and therefore the setting up of the tribunal in the state, the representation in these tribunals are all left to the states through this method. So therefore, the chairperson of the tribunal, GUM, said no interest of the state will suffer, both in reference to the representation and also in reference to the number of benches that they would want and the location of such benches within the state. And I think therefore with his the discussions were a lot more interactive. For every issue raised, the chairman, who with his team had
GST கூட்டத்திற்கு பிறகு நிதியமைச்சர் நிர்மலா சீதாராமன் செய்தியாளர்களை சந்தித்தார். அதன் நேரடி காட்சிகளை பார்த்துக் கொண்டிருக்கிறோம். இது தொடர்பான கூடுதல் விவரங்களை பின்னர் வரும் செய்தி தொகுப்பில் காணலாம்.